Hey, welcome back. It's time to meet our community, the Hispanic business community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, with Mr. OC himself, proving once again he knows everybody, John Gutierrez.
Yes, welcome back, everybody, to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, John Gutierrez, Senior Vice President here. With us again, a returning special guest with us, Mr. Dave DesRochers. I want to make sure I say this name right. He's the president of NFLPA, the OC chapter. He's the founder and CEO of the First and Goal Project. And he's the director of Ambassadors of Compassion, which is a great program he's going to talk to you guys about today.
And you got to explain what the NFLPA is.
Yes.
The NFL Players Association.
Yep, the National Football League Players Association, which means old retired guys.
And I just want to say,
is that the guys with the Bengay? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Nobody ever sees me
CBD
because I'm
now.
off camera, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if you know the way Dave looks, that's the way I look. At least to myself in the morning.
I'll take it as a compliment.
Big, yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh boy, here we go.
All right. Remind everybody while he's setting
I thought you were going to show. I thought you were
his
going to call him out. I thought
He thought I was going to show you on
my
camera.
God,
Paul.
I was gonna
Compare
get
Paul
yanked
to Dave, you know?
Yeah.
No. Dave's been on our show again, and we'll briefly go into a little bit about himself, of course. If you can just, again, give us a quick summary of, you know, we know that you're a former NFL player, but share with us your great story. You were actually not, you were not somebody looking to play football growing up as a kid, right?
Well, first of all, it's great to be in the presence of Mr. Orange County, I guess.
Yes.
Now he's going to start giving me a hard time.
I don't know if it's self-proclaimed.
The great Johnny Rocket.
The great Johnny Rocket. Yes, sir.
Right.
Have his own football prowess.
That's right.
Yeah, so it is a story that I tell quite often, especially to young people, about following your dreams. And you never know who's going to come across your path that's going to, you know, want the best for you. And when I was in high school, it was my senior year, and I met the new high school coach. He said, hey, big guy, you got to play football for me. And I said, no. He goes, how come? I said, well, because I'm a basketball player. I had a scholarship offer already to Cal State LA. And when I told him what school it was, he goes, no. He goes, come play football for me. I'll get you a better scholarship. I said, well, I'm not very good. And so, you know, but I wanted to play football, and that was all, you know, all the encouragement I needed. And so I show up, and after about 3 days, he pulls me aside and says, you know, son, you're not very good.
Wow.
I'm like, bro.
Just like that, huh?
I'm trying to tell you. And he said, but you could be. You have the size. You just need to get lighter on your feet. And he handed me a jump rope. And he said, you need to learn to jump rope. Well, the last thing I wanted to do as a 17-year-old uncoordinated young man was something that girls do with ease, you know, and look like an idiot. But I wanted to play football. So I took it home, and in my backyard, one skip at a time, learned how to jump rope really well, actually. And
jump roping is not easy.
It isn't, especially when you're 6'7" and you know, a little uncoordinated.
And you're growing, I'm sure, still.
You know, all of that. And so I remember, you know, the day when I went back to school, and he was standing next to the track. I go, hey, coach, you want to jump rope with me? I've been working on it. And I handed him the jump rope, and he did like that gallop, you know. And I'm like, bro, you don't even know how to jump rope. You're telling me I need to do it. And so I said, no. I said, this is how, and I did a really, you know, I mean, I
like just, Rocky style.
Well, yeah, no, I didn't do the twist. I didn't know that, right? There was no TikTok or YouTube, bro.
Yeah, but you become pretty good at it.
But I was, you know, alternating feet, you know, and doing it quickly. And I remember how impressed he was, you know, and the story goes that I don't know if it made me a better football player or not, but what it did show is that I was willing to do whatever it took to get on that field, because he didn't need me. We had 5 guys go Division I. 2 of us made it to the NFL. Wow. So we had a really good team.
Wow.
And especially back then, you know, back in the mid '80s when that just wasn't a thing. And so it's something like a theme that I've taken throughout my life, and that is to do the little things that nobody else wants to do and do them better than expected, quicker than expected, and do more than as expected. And you could probably earn your way into anything.
But what a great mentor he was.
Oh, he was. And so we talked about earlier about AC Green's youth leadership camp.
Yes.
I met one of the leaders of the Boys and Girls Club, and they asked me if I'd come speak to their counselors. And I said, oh, sure. I speak a lot, and I enjoy that. And my high school coach, who I've been in touch with, we go to breakfast once in a while, he said, Dave, I've been wanting to hear you speak. So I said, well, I'm doing this thing for Boys and Girls Club, knowing very well this is the story I was going to share. Didn't tell him. And he showed up, and they gave him the VIP treatment. They have reserved parking for him. They brought him right in the front row. He's sitting with the board.
Nice.
And unbeknownst to me, there was 500 counselors. I was thinking there's going to be like 20, 30 people. 500 counselors in this auditorium.
Wow.
And I shared that story, and he got a standing ovation.
Wow.
When I shared what he did for me as a young man and how much he cared. And and then what I posed to all them is in this room, how many of you are prepared when you come across a young person? How many of you have, that are willing to do what he did for me? And that's kind of, step and go beyond and encourage a young person to reach their goals.
And it goes back to, as a young person or a young man, which we'll go into, of course, the director of ambassadors that you do here with Compassion, this organization, this great program that we're going to talk about. It goes back to when somebody says to you, I believe in you, right? And that minute that you're like, wow, I got to go learn how to jump rope because this person said, hey, you can improve, you can get better.
Right.
And you go and you work at it. I mean, you still had to do the work.
Right. Well, the continuation too is since we've gotten together, I go, hey, Coach, what you did for me changed my life. I mean, it really did. And even though I didn't play in the NFL for a very long time, I got to that level, right?
Let me tell you, it is hard to get to that level.
Top 1%.
No, it is. People don't talk enough about that, how hard it is.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because growing up, as you know, I played football. I was a running back, and I was really, really fast. And that's why they nicknamed me Johnny Rocket, because I was really fast because I ran track at a young age. And back then, not too many football players ran track like
Right.
today. Today, a lot more football players ran track.
Right.
But back then, very few ran track in the 80s. And so when I started playing football, I would use my speed versus size, right?
Yeah.
I could get around the bigger dudes because they were slower, right?
Right.
And I remember when I went to my senior year in high school, and you think you're Mr. Badass, you're fast, right? You got this. Scored 2 touchdowns in the championship game. I'm super fast. And my coach says, hey, I'm going to send you and a couple players to this football camp, this college football camp, because you're getting ready to graduate.
Right.
I'll never forget that day, Dave. I got to that camp. There was guys twice my size running as fast or faster than me. I remember going, are you kidding me?
Right.
This guy, 6 foot something, is faster than me? That's when you realize the talent at the next level.
Well, then you take it a continuation from that is that I was really big at San Diego State. I was, the preseason write-ups in the magazines, called me a giant at 6'7", 290. And then
6'7", 290.
Yeah. And
how old?
That was at college. Well, I was 23, 22, 23.
Wow.
And I just want to remind everybody that's exactly how I look.
Paul says that's how he looks. 6'7".
We are going to put you on camera. So, and then I got invited to play in the Hula Bowl, which is a collegiate all-star game. And then I was up over, about 300 at that time. I was starting to, start really getting serious about lifting and got invited to go to the combine.
Nice.
Well, so
that whole different world?
The whole different world. So when I was at the Hula Bowl, Jumbo Elliott from the East, and I was the biggest guy from the West. We were on the front page, holding this young child, and
Jumbo Elliott, he played for
first round to the Jets.
Yes,
Played
I
for
remember.
about 10,
I remember
about
that.
10 seasons. Yeah.
Yes.
So you get invited to the combine, and then you walk into a room of 40 guys, and everyone's eye to eye, and that was weird. That was for me.
First time?
Oh, weird, man.
You're so used to looking down on little guys like me.
Bro, I did not feel right,
Really?
Yeah, it's like almost a little claustrophobic. I almost going up on my toes, going, I'm not sure, I'm not this. Come on, man, I'm bigger than
pretty
you.
much all the guys are 6'7".
It was 6'2" to 6'7".
Yes.
But it was enough. It was odd.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the wow factor, right?
Yeah.
And then you see the agility these players have at that size, right?
I was Dave Cadigan's roommate. Dave Cadigan came out of SE. He ran a 4.7.
What?
At 270
That's what I
pounds.
ran.
Yeah, at 270
Are
pounds.
you kidding me? 4.7, guys, is
Yeah,
very fast.
He is very fast.
Very fast. Like
Especially
most
for
linemen
a chubby white
run
guy.
5.5s, you know, right? Like a 40.
Oh, no.
Like in high school, right?
In high school.
Yeah, in high school, right? But like
we were running 5.1s,
5.1. Yeah, 5.2s. Yeah. So 4.7.
No, that's cooking.
That's cooking.
Yep.
For a guy that size to hit you?
Yeah. And Randall McDaniel I think he ran a 4.6.
Wow.
Yeah. So so that's, when you start looking at
The talent.
the talent level, it starts leveling out,
Wow. Let's share with everybody what you're doing today on that note.
Yeah.
As president of the NFLPA OC chapter.
Well, so the PA, like once again, it's all retired guys, and so our primary focus is making sure they're all aware of the benefits they're entitled to. And it's amazing that how many guys don't know. And to this point, I was 57 when I received my workers' comp claim. I didn't know. And so when I got involved with leadership, I've been able to help so many guys get checks that they deserve, workers' comp, neurocog disability, even some guys that never even made a team. As long as they got a check, they have certain benefits they're entitled to. And it may be as little as like free vision and free dental. But if you're self-employed or you don't have those benefits, that's a nice benefit to have. And so I take a lot of pride in making sure guys know what they're entitled to, especially when they first leave. The league's done a much better job of letting people know, but when I'm working with guys my age or maybe a skosh younger, they don't. They don't think they're entitled to it because they're not vested.
Paul had a question. I'm sorry, Paul.
We had somebody years ago from the NFL on one of our shows. I can't remember who, and he said there's a shocking number of NFL players. These guys made a lot of money, particularly today. I don't know what the starting salary is on an NFL team. It's got to be close to $1 million or a couple million or something.
It's gone up a lot
League minimum
because of the
600.
TV, right?
League minimum is 600.
And they come out after a career and they're broke.
Yeah, that will change. That number will change because they're getting generational money now.
Right.
Guys are signing 4-year contracts of $70 million. And and half of it's guaranteed or more.
But that's not everybody on the line.
Actually, offensive lineman average salary right now is $2.5 million.
Wow,
average. And when I played, the average was $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and the numbers have changed dramatically, and so you're right, Paul. That number was 70% of former NFL players were bankrupt within 3 years of leaving the game.
Wow.
But the thing is, they just never made a ton of money because, after agents' fees, taxes, and all those other deals, and then spending a little frivolously thinking we're going to last forever, but there's nothing in the coffers. Today, these guys are so much better and so much more learned and hearing from other guys to be smart with your money. But when you're making $30 million a year or $15 million a year, it's
a lot of zeros.
Yeah, it helps. It helps a little bit. But I still have come across some guys that put a lot of years in, and they're not that many years removed, and they're already looking for. They're struggling. So
well, there's a guy that I won't say his name, but because I'm a 49ers fan, there's a guy that beat us last year in the Super Bowl, and that quarterback signed like a $500 million deal, I think, for 10 years, right? The quarterback for the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That guy. Yeah, broke our hearts.
Yeah. You know what? But
he's been breaking a lot of hearts lately.
It's amazing. One quarterback signs for 30. I think Aaron Rodgers signed for 28 a year or 30 a year.
Yeah.
And then it ratchets up, and I think really the average for your top echelon quarterback is about $40 million a year.
It's amazing.
Average.
That's why I got my younger son throwing the ball as a quarterback right now. I got him going, because quarterbacks hopefully don't get as hurt. And well,
they don't because they don't get hit anymore.
Exactly. They're not allowed to get hit no more.
No, you can't tackle them.
That's a whole different story, Dave.
You can't tackle them low. You can't tackle them sideways. You can't. Oh my gosh.
Now you play D or
offensive line.
Offensive line. So you got to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, and the offensive line. First of all, it's the only position in all of sport that your sole job is to protect another player.
That's interesting.
Think about any other sport.
True.
That's our sole job is to protect the running back or the quarterback to make sure that the play gets off. And it's the most difficult. It's the most it's very technical, but it isn't just run like a receiver. Run, catch the ball. Running back, run, make a first down. Quarterback, throw a football. Defensive line, run, tackle that guy. DBs have to backpedal and break out of it. They're very athletic. But offensive linemen have to backpedal at 320, 30 pounds and catch a cat who's 6'6", 270. It runs a 4.6 40. He's running straight up field. You got to backpedal and then be able to stop him.
Yeah, let me tell you,
So-
I was a running back growing up in high school, and let me tell you, my junior year, we went all the way to semifinals before the CIF championship. We had an amazing line. Everything in football is your lineman.
Yep.
People don't see that. They think it's the receivers, the quarterbacks, the running backs. The following year, because we had a lot of linemen graduate, you could see how much we struggled the following year.
Yeah.
We lost like 3 or 4 of our good linemen,
Yep.
and it was a whole different team.
But
You don't.
the thing that always amazes me about linemen is it's over in a split second. I mean, your job is you hit the other guy. Now maybe you have to adjust and do things, but it's over so quickly. I don't think people appreciate what you're doing. It's just the two sides clash, and then maybe somebody breaks through as the running back, or somebody breaks
No,
through.
the
to get
worst
the
part is
quarterback.
you get called for holding, and they put the
That's all-
camera right on you.
Yeah.
That's the only time you get recognized.
Exactly. Right.
You know, Paul, I was a little bit of a nut. My last year in Montreal, I was 6'7", 360 pounds.
Which is
360.
exactly how I look at it.
Yeah, I could see the 22-inch arms coming out.
If I put them together.
360 pounds.
But
Wow.
but my play wasn't over in a second because I loved running downfield with those little guys.
And hitting them?
Oh,
You were like a bowling ball?
Oh, man.
Just knocking heads off?
And I remember we threw an interception in New Jersey.
That's not nice,
And
dude.
I'm running downfield, and this little DB goes, "Oh heck no, 73! I seen you on film." he ran the other way.
Ran out of bounds.
Oh, trust me. I played DB on the other side, and when you saw one of those big guys coming at you, you got out of the way.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I was big, but I was in shape. I still continued to play basketball.
Basketball is such a great sport.
And at San Diego State, I
Helps you.
lettered 1 year in basketball and got to play a little bit and have a good time. And that to me was pretty meaningful to be able to letter in 2 sports at a Division I school. But I stayed in shape utilizing basketball, playing 3 hours a day. So even at 360, I was actually I wasn't fat. I was just big. 'Cause I
You're
loved the weight room.
you're a
But-
Tony Gonzalez, right? Who played football and basketball. I
Well,
played against him in high
Yeah,
school.
Tony was a little bit better than me. Yeah.
He's
Same
a local.
concept.
He's a local Orange County guy, Huntington Beach, right?
Yeah,
Have you
yeah.
ever ran into him?
I've not ever met
No?
Tony.
Okay.
No.
You guys could have a lot in common. Both play basketball and football.
Yeah.
You know?
And well, he's Hall of Fame, and I'm here hanging out with you.
Listen,
Yeah, a lot in common.
listen.
You're in our Hall of Fame.
Dave is a Hall of Famer in
That's
our
it.
eyes.
That's it.
And this is why. He is also the founder and CEO of the First and Goal Project. Share with us a little bit about that, Dave.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about that because I really want to talk about ambassadors and the
Okay.
change we're making with our youth.
Okay.
The First and Goal Project is I put it together to help people that are struggling in transition, which I've started with former players, realizing guys, we just assume they all have connections and have an idea what they want to do. And the reason why, Paul, a lot of them get bankrupt within that 70% of them going bankrupt, they didn't have a game plan and didn't realize what their strengths were. And so once I started helping them, I realized veterans are struggling, and then people coming out of incarceration, treatment or rehab, domestic violence or trafficked, all have barriers. So if we could provide free services, free certification, and free access to job opportunities, we could provide a difference and make a difference.
At the end of the day, Dave may be 6'7" and 360 pounds in college or the pros. This guy's got a big heart. You got a big heart, man. You really do. You're all about. I remember when you came out to our AC Green camps and you were there helping out and volunteering your time. You easily could have been busy doing a million other things, and that shows how much you care about our community, the kids, especially those that need it the most. And like Santa Ana, a lot of our Santa kids. I'm a Santa kid myself, and this is why we wanted you back on the show to talk about this new program, this new project that you're working with, the director of Ambassadors of Compassion. Let's get into that because we had a great meeting yesterday with the Santa School District. Well, we're hoping to roll this out, right?
Yeah, and what's amazing about this program is that every conversation we have is a great conversation because everybody knows that there's a mental health epidemic and crisis with our youth. And the problem is nobody knows how to address it because we can't get past the cell phones. We can't get past the social media and get them to understand or how to communicate with each other. And I was introduced to the program. So, I'm a faith guy,
Yes,
and I was at a networking event and I heard Dave Hanna, and I frankly, it was all men. It was at the San Clemente Mall, huge. It was like maybe 100 guys. And I'm like, I just wasn't feeling it. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. And I hear Dave Hanna talk about football and athletes in action. I'm like, that's where I'm going to be. And we just started talking, and he was talking with a couple of other directors of this program, and I'm like, I want to learn more because of all the work we've talked. I think we brought up Jesse. I don't know if we did it before we started talking.
Jesse, the Hall of Famer from the 49ers.
Jesse Sapolo.
Yes, Jesse Sapolo. Shout out to him. He always comes out and supports also.
Yeah, and so I've been working in his camps for the past 8 years, been in the trenches throughout Orange County, and I do a lot of speaking in Orange County, and volunteering at camps and programs.
Yes.
So I know a lot of programs. I know a lot of schools. And just a year and a half ago or so, Corona Del Mar, there was 4 students that committed suicide.
Yeah.
A star athlete
Wow.
and a star cheerleader. And, we're going, holy smokes, this is one of the richest communities in the country, And so if these kids are struggling and have suicidal ideas, there's something going on. And we know there is. And so, and another point, actually, Anne-Marie, my fiance, and I were at Balboa Bay Club, and I was just explaining to somebody what I'm doing now. And I brought up the CDM. I said, one of the star athletes committed suicide. And the woman's face changed. And she said, no, it was actually 4 students, and our daughter was one of them.
Wow.
And she was a cheerleader, and she goes, whatever you're doing, we're in.
Yes.
And so how it's developing is that this program teaches kids resiliency.
I love that. I love that you say that. You said that yesterday at the meeting.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a word that crosses all lines, whether you're rich or poor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether you live in Corona Del Mar, and unfortunately they've lost several, students to suicide, or whether you live in Santa Ana, right? And it's, some tough areas there. I think resiliency is something that all of these young kids need today, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that this program is teaching that.
Right. Well, so and we're seeing it, and if you're a parent or just know kids, this is happening throughout Orange County, especially in the sports programs. If a kid gets disgruntled or doesn't like the coach, he transfers. And I'm hearing of kids playing at 3 different high schools. But even if you transfer once, then what happens in college, if you're an athlete, there's the transfer portal, or kids are going to school and are changing schools. And, it's a learned behavior that's carrying over into their careers because and we discussed Fortino, who owns a couple staffing companies, has shared with me that he sets up interviews for his clients and they don't show up to the interview. Or they show up to the interview and get offered a job and don't show up to the job.
Yeah.
Or they show up to the job and work for 2 or 3 days or a week and quit and just leave. And that's something that they're learning at an early age. And what it comes from and stems from is they just don't know how to communicate or cope with or deal with problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what Ambassadors does. It teaches them how to identify a problem, or if there's an issue, address it, forgive the person. Forgiveness is a big thing. Mm-hmm. We don't forgive, we hold resentment.
Yeah.
That's what it's, and especially in social media, we were talking about some just crazy stories of how kids are treating their parents or teachers or other seniors. We just don't know how to address things that we're having a hard time dealing with. And so, we teach them how to forgive. We teach them how to communicate. We teach them how to have compassion for each other. And it's amazing when they told me about all this. I said, you know what, that sounds great. And they go, we're going to send you a video. Okay. So keep in mind, and I think this, for the past 3 Super Bowls, I've been asked to speak at events. And so I've been to all 3 Super Bowl all week long. And I speak at events about my life, but I also go to high schools. Mm-hmm. And I'll be there with 5 other former players, volunteering our time, speaking to 500 students and talking to them about how we got to the highest level of sport. How do we became successful in business? I had a 20-year successful practice in financial services. I sold my firm in 2010. And 2/3 of the faces are glowing. Mm-hmm. And they're on their cell phones. And I call them out. I'll say, look, while these guys have been talking, I've been watching you. And those of you that have paid attention, you guys have a shot because you recognize the value of what we're bringing. We are the best of the best in the sport of football. and successful in business and have all maybe attained the millionaire status, and you guys can't put your cell phone down. I wish you luck. So when they were telling me about this program, I'm thinking, okay, how are you guys tapping into these kids? Because we can't do it being, the status that we have. And so instead of listening to the video, I turned off the volume, because I don't care what they're saying. If their kids aren't paying attention, it doesn't matter, right? It could be the greatest program in the world.
Yeah.
Here's what I saw, John. I saw kids engaged. I saw kids having fun, and they had a program in New York at a college. It was raining, and the kids were through the whole thing doing all of the program, engaging with each other. You could see it. You could see it in the eyes and the body movement and the mannerisms. Didn't hear any words, didn't hear any volume, didn't know what they were saying, didn't know what the kids were saying to each other. But the interaction was huge. Mm-hmm. And then they went to a high school program where they break out into individual groups and tables of 6. I didn't look at the front table, because, with the front table, when they're videoing, that's the best table, right, Paul?
Yeah.
Hey, let's film these kids, man. They're really getting it. I looked 2, 3, 4 tables deep in this video.
Yeah.
All of them were the same, and it was the same eye contact, laughing, interaction, body movement. No one's slumped over, nobody's bored, and know what else? Not a single phone in hand. I saw like 2 phones, like upside down, like what we have on the table.
Yeah.
Being ignored. And then I just called Dave Hannes. I'm in.
Yeah.
Teach me what what we're gonna work with these kids about.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what the program's about, how it increases attendance. And this is we were in Alabama for 5 years. Increased attendance, increased the number of A's and B's, decreased the number of D's and F's, and increased completion rates. And those are all the things that schools are struggling with and don't know how to address.
Yeah, it's something that it's a reality, and maybe sometimes we don't want to accept it, right? But like you said yesterday in the meeting, we have to bring it out to the open and say, how are we going to fix this problem, right? And from my understanding, the plan is hopefully, and I don't want to give too much information out, but there's going to be like a kickoff at SoFi Stadium, right?
Yeah, we're playing. We've had one. We had one a few years ago, pre-COVID, and then we're playing. We just had a conversation with SoFi now, and getting the the terms put together, which is not inexpensive. Here's the great thing: we're going to roll this out into the schools. Instead, it's free to the school. There can even be some revenue generated from the state once they complete it, because we formed an alliance with Santa Ana College. Mm-hmm. That was huge for us, because Santa Ana College had a curriculum in place, but it was missing something. And so now we're combining our 2 curriculums. Of course, they're accredited, so they bring validation to what we're doing through their platform. They have an entire staff working on this program to roll out. So any student that goes through this program, through their school, gets a free 2 years of tuition and fees at Santa Ana College.
Say that again. You can get free tuition and fees if you complete this program.
Right, through Santa Ana College, which is one of the top colleges, not only in this state but in this country.
Yeah,
they are doing so much great stuff. They're being really recognized nationwide.
Yep.
And
I sit on their foundation board.
Yes.
I sit on their foundation board, and there's some pretty amazing things that Santa Ana College, which also is connected with Santiago College.
Right.
They're like sister schools there, and of course it's been a in the heart of Santa Ana. That's that college. So many. I mean, my brother went there. My sister, my wife. People have gone there and then transferred out to, of course, Cal State systems or UC systems. But Santa Ana College is a college that, first of all, they're members of our chamber. They're partners of our chamber, and they work so closely in the community with the Santa Ana School District, as we were yesterday with Jerry, the superintendent. And we're hoping that this is something that's going to be rolled out soon here, starting with Santa Ana, and then eventually in the surrounding areas.
Well, and so that's been what I've been tasked with, right? I'm putting together a team of former players and others, because we've done so much work in the community offering scholarships through the NFLPA that we have great ties to all the high schools, Southern California, Northern California, nationwide. So this is going to go nationwide. Our goal is to put 2 million kids a year through this. Wow. But it starts, and it looks like it's going to start right here in Santa Ana.
Right.
Because we just met with Jerry at the Santa Ana School District.
Yes.
We met with them yesterday, and by the afternoon we had a second follow-up date set. They have the exact problems that our program cures that they haven't been able to figure out how to do yet. So they are very excited. we're very excited to be able to do this because it's becoming now very Santa Ana centric. It's not like one school district here, one university there. It just seems to be all just building right here. And then I just, I respect you, and we have a great friendship. But I also know your heart for Santa Ana. And so I go, John, would you join us? I mean, within one day. And John goes, yeah, I know Jerry really well. I'd be happy to be there.
Yeah.
And so, our next steps, Orange County Hispanic Chamber, we're coming for you because we're
in already. We're in.
You know what? 'Cause I know I've been involved with you guys for years. I know your heart. I know your heart for each other. I know your heart for the community.
Yes.
And it makes total sense to now have the college, the school district, and the businesses all in alignment, trying to fix a problem we all know exists. And if Ambassadors of Compassion could be the catalyst, I mean, that's just a win across all boards. And we just got to then put together the game plan to
How can people participate or help support what you're doing?
Well, they're probably going to have to be in the school system that you're going to roll these out, right?
Well, yeah, if you have a connection to a coach or a teacher, because, we're going to roll it out through the sales platforms, through the school sports platforms, because a school, like a football team, can put their kids through it. Once they complete it, we send that off to Santa Ana College. They provide it to the state. The state gives them money, and we give the program $30 a student to complete it.
Wow.
And then they get the scholarship, right?
But I'm thinking of businesses. I mean, like the woman who you ran across at the Balboa Bay Club, whose daughter committed suicide, and she said, "We're in." How can we be in with this? Is it donation?
Well,
is it advocacy?
Is it more advocacy? Because the more connections we make, the more that we build this. The funding is coming from various areas. We are doing some initial fundraising and some initial asks just to get it up off the ground, and we're doing events. But it's kind of like one-off stuff. It's invitation. We don't have, say, a website that you could go and donate to, and so we're keeping everything pretty close to the vest. But certainly reaching out to me through John or through I don't know.
And we're putting together. Let's just be real. I mean, this has been going on in other states, from what Dave Hanna mentioned yesterday. But we're also, in a way, putting together the all-star team right now, right? Mm-hmm. The team that's going to be here in Santa Ana with your guys' people, some of our people from our chamber. And I've already mentioned to you yesterday in the meeting that, I love what you said in the meeting yesterday. You said every area we launched this has a very different dynamic. Mm-hmm. I remember you said that in the meeting, and that's when, for me, I said, you're right, Dave. I'm a Santa Ana kid, and I go, even though my kids, now live in Irvine and I live in Irvine, I'm always in Santa Ana, visiting my in-laws, eating there, whatever. And the other day I saw something that broke my heart, and that was that there was this huge line of parents at a food bank, right? And I couldn't believe this. I drove by it. I left to an event for like 2 hours. On the way back, the line was still long, right? Mm-hmm. After 2 hours. And I was just like, wow, there's a big problem with food in Santa Ana, right? And which we know it's a big problem. So right away I said to you, I have resources through friends of our chamber that can help, maybe in essence donate a lot of food for this program. Because at the end of the day, guys, mental health is driven a lot by the gut. If you don't eat well, right? I'm in healthcare. If you don't eat well, if you don't take care of your health, it's going to affect the mind, right? Which, if you don't know this, and I learned this from my doctor friends, if the gut isn't right, then this sends the wrong signal to the brain. Mm-hmm. If it sends the wrong signal to the brain, guess what? It sends the wrong signal to the heart. And that's when you get anxiety.
Right.
And that is what mental health is. These kids get really bad anxiety, right? But a lot of it has to do, are they eating well? Are they not, eating?
The energy drinks oh my gosh.
Like what are they eating, right? And we know that sometimes the cheapest food is not the healthiest for you.
Right.
Right?
Indeed.
So educating our community about what not to eat, what to eat, but also having access to that food.
Right.
Right? That's where we, to answer Paul's question, Paul, we can bring different resources, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, money's great. Write a check, that's great. But sometimes there's other resources we can help that we know in the community.
Yeah. And this is not just a one-time deal that we go into the school and say, okay, kids, here's some tools, to help you the rest of your life. Good luck. The next steps are going to be, we're building a community, and it's going to be an ongoing resource for kids that, if you take this when you're a sophomore or a junior, you could do it every year while you're in school. But then what happens afterwards, right? Then you're out of the school, you're out of the loop. well, we're going to have a community that people can continue and mentor others, connect with others, and help each other for our lifetime. You're always a member of ambassadors for your lifetime. We have met so many cool people in such a short time. So there's a Kenyon, I'm going to forget his last name, former NFL player, and he has a platform through AIG and apps that he builds for professional teams for different things. And he had so many great ideas of connecting us with professional teams to get some funding, get some resources, get some exposure, but then also be able to build something that is going to be sustainable. Right? It's not just, hey, here's some tools, young person, good luck.
And that seems to be the key, because you can walk in and show kid how to do something. But if their faces are glowing, I love that, they're glowing because they're staring at the screen rather than listening to you. Or if they've tuned you out, which anybody who's raised a kid knows, they tune you out in 2 seconds. Talk to the hand, as my daughter used to say, yada yada yada. If they're not listening, and it doesn't continue. It's like when I was in the Midwest, you'd have these tent revivals. People would go find God over a weekend, and then they'd forget it the following Friday at the bar here. It can't be temporary.
Well, yeah, and I think to that point, Dave was part of our AC Green camps that we did before the pandemic, and the other day when we did the small version of it recently, there was a young man there who was at the end of the whole graduation program, walked down and says, I'm a senior here at the high school. Or he had graduated, I think, already. But he said, this is my little brother now in the program.
Right.
And I'm so happy my little brother's in the program.
That's right.
So eventually, that's the goal of this program, is that you're going to have students that will come back after going through the process, right? Or the support.
As
or the
true
mentorship.
ambassadors. They carry it to
and
others.
then they're going to come back and tell their stories
Yeah.
and say how much this helped them.
Yeah. And I tell you, Paul, what you were describing, I call it the Tony Robbins effect.
Yeah, right.
People, scrape together.
Nothing against Tony Robbins, but you go for a weekend, right?
You scrape together $300, and you go get just razzed up. You're a really bad salesman. You want to be a good salesperson, so you scrape together a few bucks and you go listen to him. And I'll tell you what, he can fire up anybody on anything.
Absolutely.
And so
for a weekend,
for a weekend, and then you go back to your job, and then after about 2 weeks to a month, you realize you're just a bad salesperson, and so because there's no support afterwards, right? There's nothing to continue that. You
have the best intentions, but you can't carry it forward.
And
it
so
doesn't sustain it.
Yeah, we have to be sustainable. We can't fizzle out. We can't be out of sight, out of mind. We have to always be there. And that's the beautiful thing that Kenyon provides, is not only that platform, but the other thing he said is, I think, Paul, you mentioned it, kids phase us out.
Oh.
We could have the greatest stuff in the world to say, but hey, I'm a 60-year-old, dude, and I'll be exciting for about 18 minutes, but well, hey, we've been going 18 minutes, we're still excited. So
nothing against you, but kids today, oh my God, in 18 seconds they tune you out.
That's what he does. He has the platform, the AI platform, the app platform that speaks to them how they are used to, how they look for stuff. That we're going to be where they look for stuff. That's the important thing.
You got to be on the phone today.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, folks, Dave, you mentioned again, every dynamic is so different in every city, right? Mm-hmm. And I can tell you for a fact that me being a Santa Ana kid, never in my life growing up had I gone fishing, right? Because that's not something you do in the hood in Santa Ana. Mm-hmm. I mean, I played football, but I never had gone fishing. My dad was a labor working guy. He was always working. He was always tired. I started going fishing as an adult with my boys. And I found that it's very peaceful. It's very relaxing. I found that my boys, they love it. Mm-hmm. It really is. And I found that my younger boy, who's that 13-year of age generation that we're talking about,
right?
He really enjoys it. It gives him a sense of peace when we're out there, And so I as a parent,
and fishing isn't a lot of talking. Fishing's very quiet,
but it's very relaxing, right?
But you're engaging with them in a way you can. If I took a video of you, I could turn the sound down, like Dave said, because you're doing stuff together.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a shared activity.
And we were over at a creek this last weekend up in Riverside, and beautiful creek there, up in the mountains. And I was sitting with my son who's 13, and he says, "Man, Dad, I could sit here and listen to this water all day."
Yeah.
So little things like that.
But the other thing, you're not walking into the room going, "Hey, did you do your homework? Hey, what's this? What's that?" you're hanging out with them and you're talking with them.
Yes.
Whatever
Not
they
at
to them,
what-
right.
what-
Not at
whatever
them.
they bring up, you just flow with it, right? If you don't have an agenda on that fishing trip, and if you're just there for a purpose, and that the purpose is to be with your boys, you've won, right?
Oh yeah, we've gone fishing and literally sat, like, we've gone to San Clemente Pier, Newport Beach Pier, different places. And there's places we don't catch anything, right?
Yeah.
And they'll be so disappointed. I said, it's okay, we had a good time. You know, we walked around, we saw this, we went and had a breakfast here, and it's okay. We didn't catch any fish. It's okay. It's just like you said. It's just let's get up early, let's get out of bed. And my wife's like, again, we're going fishing. Let's go.
And the other thing about fishing, because I grew up in the Midwest, everybody fishes. There's lakes and rivers
But not
everywhere.
here. But not here.
No.
And fishing the other thing is, it's a process. So he's talking about trying to teach kids a process of how to rebound. I didn't get what I wanted today here. All right, you still got to come back. You still got to work at it. It takes time. It's an ongoing thing, not an immediate reward, which they're used to. An immediate answer, an immediate reward,
Right.
an immediate solution. It's a slow learning thing to do.
But I love what Dave said about that word resilience.
Yeah, that's the
right?
key.
Yeah.
When you said that at the meeting yesterday, I'm like, that was my aha moment. I'm in.
Right.
Why? Because as an athlete growing up, that's what you learn in sports, right? Like when I
get
ran
back up,
track,
yeah.
I remember it's like, running the 100, it was like, boom, let's go. And you just saw in the Olympics, the guy was like in third place on the 100, and his resilience to go and lean at the last minute, and he literally won by half an inch or
Fraction of a second.
fraction of it.
It was 0.005 seconds.
I don't even know how they can measure
and
that.
he was
Yeah.
behind. We watched that live, me and my wife, and we thought he had lost.
Yeah.
We thought the other.
I thought he was in last place or something, like
Yeah.
halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that shows a perfect example. And he later posted, I think, on social media that he deals with anxiety. He deals with asthma issues. He deals with all this,
Hey, John, so another thing I do, so I'm a certified NFL transition coach, and I've been through, mental health certification and suicide intervention certifications. In a sense, I've talked to recent former players that signed $4 million contracts.
Wow.
One of which, I always get to blame old age and concussions when I forget somebody's name. So
That's all right.
yeah, don't play football.
Don't say that.
well,
my wife is listening. My son plays football.
It's two hand touch now. He's okay. It's not really football.
You know what?
It's not really football.
It's true. It's true, though. The game has
Yeah.
changed and evolved.
But he signed a contract with the Seattle Seahawks. It's not Malcolm Smith. It's Marcus. Anyways, signed a contract, and he talks about this. He's out there talking about it, so that's why I would share his name. Signed a big deal with the Seahawks, and went to the training staff and said, he goes, I'm having suicidal thoughts.
Wow.
And so they went to Pete Carroll, and Pete went to this young man and said, hey, son, take as much time as you need. You have a spot here.
Yeah.
And he did, and went back and completed, I think, 1 or 2 more seasons. But now he's out sharing that. I mean, so you think these professional athletes signing these big contracts have it all figured out. But sometimes those big contracts come with a lot of stress.
A lot of pressure.
I
A lot
feel
of
bad for
pressure.
these first-round draft picks, because I know a bunch of them. The poor kid that went to the Bears. So much. He's been so scrutinized. And
quarterback?
He hasn't done anything yet.
The quarterback?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kid from SC.
Justin
Yeah.
Fields.
No, the kid from SC that just went this year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
right.
Williams, right?
Yeah.
Williams? Is that it?
Caleb.
Yeah.
And,
Caleb Williams, yeah.
That guy can't sneeze without it being analyzed,
Yeah.
And so think about the stress
Yeah.
and coping with it. And that's the biggest hurdle. It's not the stuff on the field. The kid's an athlete. The kid's got a huge talent. I think the biggest issue is how do you deal with the press and
Everything else.
having some failure?
Right.
Can you recognize it, have some tools on how to address it, and then be resilient and rise above it?
I don't want to bring up a sore subject, but I've always heard people talk about was it Todd Marinovich story?
Todd. Yep.
I remember growing up watching him.
That some people said, I think Marcus Allen said, has potentially one of the greatest potentials he'd ever seen. Watching quarterback and watch him just burn and crash and become a drug addict and all this stuff here. And the pressure put on him by, they always say, his parents and the school and all the other stuff here. I'm not trying to blame everybody, but he melted under that pressure.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf is another example, and it's good to see Todd clean and sober. He's in Hawaii doing his art.
I saw that. I saw a special on him on
Yeah.
ESPN, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and he loves, is it surfing or something? He's
Surfing,
yeah.
yep.
He's like
He's in Hawaii,
like
bro.
he found that peace of mind
Yeah.
in surfing, kind of like
Right.
I was talking about fishing, right?
Yep.
You know,
But here was an Orange County kid
Dave,
who couldn't handle
we're
the.
past by
Yeah.
like 15 minutes.
We got to come to a conclusion here. How do they find you? How do they connect?
Wow, I
How do
didn't
they learn
realize
more?
we had gone so.
I didn't either, and I'm the one supposed to stop
Yeah,
this. So.
Paul's supposed to be watching. He's got his other guests waiting outside.
Paul just keeps talking about how big he is.
That's it.
All right.
How big he
hey,
wants to be.
That's right. Hey, let's arm wrestle right now. We'll show it.
I don't want to embarrass
No,
you.
Yeah,
If I know you're
definitely.
friends
I
there.
appreciate
If
it.
you're interested in the program, reach out to either myself or Dave, of course, or leave a comment on social media or wherever you see this.
Yep.
Let us know you're interested in either learning more about it, getting involved, supporting it, sponsoring it, or maybe you know somebody that needs the program. Maybe there's a young man or young lady that you feel needs this
They
kind
all
of
need the
support.
program because
Yeah?
coping is not a mechanism we teach kids today.
That's right. And so you could find me on Facebook or Instagram. It's just my name, nothing fancy.
But you got to spell it because we don't.
You got
know
to
how
spell. Well, John. I'm sorry.
Johnny.
It's Johnny Rocket. So he's always gonna be Johnny to me. So
Yes.
and it's a professional John.
Right.
You can find it on the post there, or Dave at thefirstandgoalproject.com.
First and Goal Project.
Yeah, and it's then the one.
You know what?
ST and
I'm going to
Goal
make you a new
Project.com.
Instagram, and it's just going to be called Big Dave.
There you
Oh,
go.
boy.
That's it. When you're 6'7",
Oh, boy.
and you're like
Yeah.
almost 400 pounds in college, that is Big Dave. Big Dave. That's what I call him.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a lot of Daves, right? And I'll call somebody and say, "Hey, this is Dave." They're like, "Dave," I'm like,
Yeah.
"Big Dave."
You see?
yeah,
I hate saying
I'm
it.
not the
But
only
that's
one.
That's what everybody. Yeah, come on. It is what it is.
Well, let me tell you, you're not little Dave for
Yeah,
sure. You're
indeed.
Big Dave when you're 6'7". Well, thank you so much for coming back on the show, and we hope that we can help provide you more support and resources. Again, I'm 100% behind this. Like I said, I plan to support you in any way that I can.
Hey, John, we're going to make a difference together. I know we are because that's why.
That's what us football players do, man.
Yep.
We come together.
And that's what our community leaders do, right?
Exactly.
So we're going to make a difference together, and we're going to start right here in Santa Ana.
Love it.
All right, folks, there you have it. Big Dave in the house.
right.
Our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, where our community is your community. Thank you for tuning in again, folks. And again, follow us at OCHCC or Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and you will find a lot of this information we talked about there, or ways to connect with Dave and this amazing Ambassadors of Compassion organization program that they've launched. Take it away, Mr. Paul Roberts. Go ahead.
I'll say
Dave.
one more thing. It's not just the youth that are having a problem. We're all having a problem.
Yes.
And all I encourage people to do, we could change this real easy. Just love and respect each other and just be good humans. And that's all it's going to take to make a difference. Everyone has an opinion. Let them have it. Love and respect.
Amen.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, there you have it, and a lot of it today here. Good stuff. Good reason to tune in each and every time to hear more on our community podcast. Brought to you by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station. Streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.